Last night's debate was a ton of fun, especially if you like to see people flatcating themselves over what really is nothing. But we'll be talking about some of the highlights, some of my thoughts from this after I've taken the day to digest it, what happened there, what we do with this now, and what the country does with this going forward. So we'll be talking about that at the top of the show. Also, in other news, we are watching for Arrest Watch. We may be the first ones to stream out the mugshot photos, so that will be coming up somewhere about 6:30 Central Time. We'll be watching for that. We'll see what happens with that and where that goes. Thomas Massie introduces H.R. 899, a one-sentence bill to end the Department of Education, which is long overdue. We'll be talking about that, what's happening there, and what we do with that. And Elizabeth Warren and Lindsey Graham both go to Ukraine to go meet with Zelensky because, hey, apparently that's how you make money if you are in Eastern Europe. It is going to be all of this and more over here on Contemporary, plus one big announcement at the top of the show. Am I depressed or am I just bored? Apathy and irony, postmodern anxiety. I am Jay Edgar, and this is Contemporary. Good evening, Ed Heads. Welcome to Contemporary. My name is Jay Edgar. We've got a lot of stuff to go over here tonight. It's been a fairly busy day, but a lot of what we have to go over is debate video, debate clips, and a redigesting of the debate that we all watched together last night. So that's going to be, again, that's going to be on the top of the show. That's going to be a big part of what we start with. But a couple things before we're going out. And I teased this, by the way, last night and said that we were going to have this announcement at the top of the show today. I wanted to do this on regular time, and I wanted to do this on an episode that was not overshadowed by the debate that we all sat and watched and shutting down on YouTube and everything else. And that is, and by the way, this comes with a very, very heavy heart for me, but I will be taking the month of September off from Contemporary. I've given this a lot of thought. I've been looking at my schedule, what I have been doing, how I've been doing it, the fact that I sit down and I do this every single day. And it was not a bad gig when I started out. When the COVID started, our news was novel and brand new every day, and there were new things that were happening every day. The last 3 months, and I'm going to be completely honest with what's happened over the last 3 months. Almost the entire news cycle has been absolutely dominated by two news stories. They're going to impeach Biden, and Trump is going to jail. Both of those news stories are on the stack for the night. And there's really nothing else that's doing this. It's the same news every day. On top of that, when I started Contemporary, I was in a situation where I was limited to, and artificially limited to, 40 hours a week. Dead. No more. No more, no less, no nothing. 40 hours a week, guaranteed, and pretty much nothing else. And if I did wind up working overtime, I wasn't getting paid for it. By the way, yes, that's true. I wasn't getting paid for the overtime I was doing at my last job. I now work 60 hours a week, typically, 50 to 60. And on top of that, coming home, and the hardest part for this has been on this time slot. 6 p.m. Central Time, where Timcast is on at the same time, Matt and Blonde are coming in as I'm getting ready to leave, and just a host of other things, plus Brew and I are working on something, and it looks like we're actually going to be working together going forward for this. I am not stepping away from the microphone. That's the first thing I want to tell you. I am not done doing media. I'm 100% not stopping this because I love doing this too much. And that was one of the hardest decisions that I came to when I said I've got to take some time off and figure out where this is going to go. Now, in that month of September, that is just going to be Contemporary off. And Contemporary may come back as a weekly show instead of a daily show. My big thing is I have to figure out what it is that I'm going to do. But I'm literally at this point, and I do hope that you guys understand, with doing Contemporary and doing the job I'm doing now versus the job that I was doing when I started doing Contemporary, I am literally waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning, getting ready, going to work at 6, getting done with work, coming here, organizing news, finishing news, and going to bed. I can't live like that anymore. I turned down an invitation from one of the most beautiful girls in the world this past Tuesday. That was what pushed me to the edge. That was where I said, okay, it's time to sit down and do something different. What I am probably going to do as we're finishing and as we're doing something new, and I'm going to try this out during the month of September, is I want to go back to doing one-off videos, and it's going to be a little bit of both when I do them. Single topic, 10-minute videos talking about either a news story that's novel, not the same thing every single week like we're seeing right now, but a news story that's novel, a news story that's good and fun. Or in one of the things that kind of rekindled my passion in this and kind of pushed me in this direction is actually doing an analysis of things in the popular culture, like when I did my presidential series video analyzing Ron DeSantis. I had so much fun just sitting down there and doing the analysis and everything on why I don't think Ron DeSantis can win the presidency. Just like I used to do before I started live streaming, before YouTube started favoring the algorithms on the live stream. And I think I'm going to do a lot more of that. And I'm going to stream still. I mean, I still have Restream, I'm still going to do that. But the big one for me, the other one, when I was sitting down and playing StarCraft over the weekend, is realizing that I don't have time to, I've got a stack of video games collecting dust. Because by the time your weekend is here, when you literally get up, work, and then go straight to sleep during the week, and then you've got 2 days to get up, hike 10 miles, do all your laundry, take care of any business you need to come back and take care of, and everything else that you need to do, or when you work on Saturday, 1.5 days to do all this. There are just not enough hours in the day. So one-off videos are coming back in September. I can say that for positive because that is something I miss doing a lot. I'm going to pick up my guitar and hold myself accountable and actually play guitar on stream. That's going to be another one that's coming down the pipes here because that's been something I've been talking about doing since, not this last time when I was in Atlanta, but the time before when I was in Atlanta. I talked about starting to do that again and tuned up my guitar. Back when I was still living in my old place. And video games. I've got a stack of video games sitting here that I've been wanting to share with you, and I've been teasing about sharing with you for a while. I think we're going to do maybe a dedicated video game. Maybe it'll be Tuesday, maybe it'll be Wednesday, something like that. But a dedicated video game night where we just sit down and play through a game one night a week. But if that's where the cards are. And I'm going to say right off the bat, and I know this is kind of long-winded right now, but I might miss this so much by the end of September, I'll come back and say, what the hell was I thinking? But I really need to sit down and think about where my life is going. I mean, I'm 39, I'm not married. I have an opportunity laying in front of me. Literally. And I need to do something different with my life. And I do hope that you guys understand. And I thank everybody who came by for all the streams and everything that we've been doing since I moved, because I know this is a hard time slot to come into and take over, especially when everybody's so well established. All the new people who've come in and joined and everything else that goes along with that. I'm very much appreciative of you. That's why I'm not going away. The hardest thing and the reason that I didn't want to do this, and I've been thinking about this since I moved, since I took over this time slot. is the fact that anybody else that you're going to get at this point in, like when I was doing the intro for the candidate series, that's one of the things that clicked in my head is, I mean, everybody that's in there is either chasing the algorithm, like a certain beanie wearing a person. Oops, did I say that out loud? Who doesn't believe anything that he's saying, but he just knows how to chase the YouTube algorithm. Or somebody who's so deep in the corporate pockets of Fox News, Crowder, that you don't actually have a true independent that's sitting here talking to you. I've been that true independent, I think at least, for a while. I know I'm a little bit leaning towards Trump, but, you know, again, I've said I can't vote for him because of his spending habits in his first time in office. You know, an actual real reason not to vote for him. But, I mean, anybody else is completely in the tank for one candidate or the other that's out there that I've noticed so far. Or is foreign, like V. Monroe, who doesn't live stream. And again, that's part of the reason that I do want to keep a channel open and do this with you guys still. Now, one of the things that I do want to do is initially, when I was doing video game streams, I always said no politics during the video game streams. That rule, if I do step away, that rule is going to be lifted. Because I know that's what a lot of you guys come here for, is my opinion on what's going on in the world. So that's my announcement. Thank you again for everybody who has been here from the beginning to the middle to the end. And again, like I said, if you guys followed me on Twitter, you knew this already yesterday, but that's where we're at with that. Now let's get down into the fun stuff, into the news. Now that I have waxed poetic for 15 minutes, let's get the live chat up here. Let's see. Mogwai says, you say you want a revolution? Well, you know, we all want to change the world. The debate last night and surrender tonight. God is spoiling us. KTZed is here. Hello, internet friends. Ramaswamy still trying to talk over Mike Pence. Still trying to talk over Mike Pence. And they haven't cut Mike Pence's microphone yet. Luke Wee is here. Welcome in. KTZed says, oh, I remember that. Mogwai says, Sugar, I'll marry you. And besides, oh my God, F off, Lindsay. KTZed loves me. Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah, I know it's kind of sudden, but it's something I've been thinking about for a while. All right. Before we get started, make sure you guys go check out great programming such as The Daily Ignoramus, The Breakdown with Birkenhoff, The R-Rated Conservative, The Porch Boys, Tweets by Brit, Mr. Behavior, The No Gimmicks Podcast, Silent Caster, Clown World Chronicles with Papa Palpatine, and Overruled with KTZed. Go check out all that great programming as we aim to bring you a better news and culture experience from the common man for the common man. That's right. Stop getting your news and culture from people who wear suits that cost more than your house and people who hate you. Start getting your news and culture from people who are just like you. Go check out all those great people. I will personally advocate for every single one of them. They are awesome people. They're great people to sit down and watch and join the live streams and the audiences of. And let's get down into the finance of the day while we are doing Arrest Watch. By the way, you guys go ahead and feel free. I will be watching for the chat. And we will break in if there is arrest news. If there's video, I will be watching for it. If you are on DLive, you can drop a link. I don't think you can drop a link in the other platforms. Well, I know YouTube bans it up on the top at this point, but all right. And let's get down into the finance while we go. While we wait. All right, on the Dow to start with today. The Dow took a little bit of a peak at the very beginning of trading, and then all hell broke loose on the markets, losing quite a bit throughout the day as it went through. I mean, it looks like it's a shallow curve, but I mean, look at where the numbers are. And I mean, when I say it spiked well over 1% at the beginning of the day before falling back to close the day, 373.56 points down to 34,099.42. And by the way, that is almost a 900 point drop throughout the day today. Okay, let me rephrase that. It's probably a 700 point drop because, I mean, we were approaching 34.8. So a 700 point drop throughout the day after taking a very, very strong lead on the finance today. 1.08% down on the markets And all three of the major indices look the same way, and so does the Bitcoin, by the way. Your Bitcoin is at 26,098 US dollars and 20 US cents. That is down 329 US dollars and 30 US cents, or 1.25%. After spending the day steady, it dropped off about middle of trading day to day, and it tried to claw back a couple times, and even right down towards the end of trading it tried to claw back again, but it just wasn't able to come back up. Bitcoin is approaching the on sale point, so if you're interested in buying Bitcoin, this is not official financial advice, but do keep your eye on where the Bitcoin is going and what we do with that and where that goes. Your gas prices in the Madison region are sitting at $3.50 on the west side, still unchanged. $3.40 on the east side, unchanged. Most likely, given the pattern that we see, your local gas prices, even though these prices do not reflect, are probably about the same, probably about unchanged. Check your local listings to see what your local gas prices are, but we have been watching one particular market since March of 2020 to see what it is doing day by day, day over day, and seeing what it's going to be doing with the national average as well. Let's grab our finance report today from CNBC. Let's get the live chat up here too, by the way. That's something I should be doing here. KTZed said, I went down to Laura Loomer's thing this morning. There were a lot of crazies down there at the Fulton County Prison. Yeah, I posted on Twitter when I was talking about this, or X, I should say at this point. He is in Atlanta to surrender. So we might move on to that one here really quick. But, I mean, there are people right now that are wondering if there is going to be an insurrection tonight in... Well, I'm one of them. Let's check our live updates here. He has arrived. He's landed in Georgia. Our latest update, 7 minutes ago. Trump using a bail bondsman to post $200,000 release bond. Which is kind of weird because he can probably write a check for that. Trump is using a bail bondsman to post his $200,000 release bond, NBC News confirmed. Charlie Shaw of Foster Bail Bonds was paid $20,000 to post Trump's bond, according to an agent there. Shaw was at Fulton County Jail awaiting Trump's arrival. Shaw's celebrity clients have included T.I., Rick Moss, Gucci Mane, and Claude McIver, known as Tex McIver. The Big Boss Man theme. That's right, you're about the same age as me too, so we were probably watching WWE at the same time. I think you're, if I remember correctly, a touch older than me, Mogwai. But, like, within a year, if I remember correctly. John Eastman is being disbarred in California, because this is not about justice, this is about retribution. Marjorie Taylor Greene is there, which is, by the way, leading me to believe that this is probably going to be an insurrection. And I bet you there are agents out there everywhere waiting to come in and whisper in people's ears and say, just throw the brick, man, throw the brick. You know you want to do it, throw that brick, man. Let's keep up with finance while they're doing this here, although it's going to be hard to pay attention to. P.S. Singh and Brian Evans reports stock sell-off Thursday as Nvidia-led rally fizzles. Dow drops more than 300 points. Stocks fell sharply on Thursday after a tech rally sparked by stronger-than-expected Nvidia results was short-lived. Traders also braced for a key speech from Jerome Powell. The Dow closed 373.56 points lower, or 1.08% to 34,099.42. The S&P lost 1.35% to the end of the day at 4376.31. The tech-heavy Nasdaq shed 1.87 to 13,463.97. Thursday marked the worst day for the Dow since March. The S&P and the Nasdaq had their biggest one-day loss since August 2nd. Nvidia shares reached an all-time high after the company reported quarterly earnings revenue that exceeded lofty analyst expectations. The company also raised guidance, with executives predicting third-quarter revenue would climb to $16 billion, or a year-over-year increase of 170%. However, the stock closed just 0.01% higher at this point. The information technology sector, S&P 500's biggest loser, ending Thursday down 2.15%, weighed by declines in other semiconductor stocks, including AMD and Intel. Shares of major tech companies saw declines during the session, with Amazon losing 2.7%, Apple declined 2.6%, and Netflix dropping 4.8%. Dollar Tree was the worst performing stock in the S&P, losing 12.9% on disappointing third quarter guidance. Shares of Nike shed 1.1%, extending their record losing streak. Boeing dragged down the Dow, losing nearly 5%. Yeah, here's a question. If you go back out and basically go against what everybody thinks you should be doing and continue to make your shoes in China under the Uyghur slaves, on top of everything else that you've done stupidly over the last 3 years, yeah, why would your stock even be going up? I think it's an narrowly focused market, said Philip Colmar, global strategist at MRB Partners, adding that just a few names are driving the entire market. I do think that if you've got a better growth backdrop and higher bond yields, it lends itself naturally to a broadening of the market. We saw some of that in recent weeks. Colmar noted that he would lighten up on the tech sector given its recent moves higher this year. Themes sometimes get front-loaded into the price action, and then it takes a while to catch up, he said. To be sure. Other investors remain bullish on the tech sector as their hopes for a resilient economy remain intact. The tech story is coming back, which is ironic because normally when real yields go up, valuations get hit and more richly valued stocks do worse, said Carson Group Director and macro strategist Sonu Varghese, adding that his firm balances its tech holdings along with cyclicals, such as small to mid-cap sized industrials and energy names. We think economy is actually running fairly resilient right now, so I don't think it is, and I think the people are starting to realize it. I really do. They can come back and try to say that everything is great and everything is fine and look at everything that everybody's doing. And part of, by the way, the sell-off today came from the fact that fewer people filed for unemployment than they thought they were going to, so that means the Fed might raise rates again because they're not going to be satisfied till everybody's poor. So do keep that in mind as you see what these people think of you. Let's look at our layoffs report for the day. T-Mobile with a big one. Is it wrong that I'm wanting Trump to jump bail so we can get Dog the Bounty Hunter into this shit show? He's not going to, but I can see where you're coming from. China was mentioned more last night. I started to think it was a Bridezilla episode. Nice. From Claire Duffy. T-Mobile on Thursday announced its plans to lay off 5,000 employees, or around 7% of its total staff, over the next 5 weeks. The reductions will largely affect corporate and back office jobs that are primarily duplicative, oops, that was loud, to other roles, and will reduce the company's middle management layers. CEO Mike Sievert said in a letter to employees on Thursday. The company also plans to reduce its spending on external workers and resources, but its retail and consumer care staff who work directly with customers will not be affected, he said. What it takes to attract and retain customers is materially more expensive than it was just a few quarters ago, Sievert said. T-Mobile's cuts come after months of mass layoff announcements at a range of other technology companies, including Microsoft and Meta, as firms grapple with an uncertain economic environment. In its most recent quarterly earnings reports last month, T-Mobile reported sales, down 2.5% year over year, and net customer additions fell slightly from the same period in the prior year. Although it posted record low customer churn and profit growth, T-Mobile's stock has fallen more than 7% since last August. Shares were trading down around 1% following its layoff announcement. In a Thursday letter, Sievert said that in the 3 years since closing T-Mobile's acquisition of rival carrier Sprint, it has been working to streamline the combined businesses and accelerate the build-out of its high-speed internet business. However, he suggested it was important for the company to now narrow its focus. So, if you work for T-Mobile, you might be getting an unpleasant letter in the next few days, unfortunately. And that will be sad for you, but it's probably coming at this point. So, your layoffs report is on T-Mobile. By the way, CNN Business has been they just, at the very end of July, had this meter pegged all the way up to greed driving the markets. And in 3 weeks, it's dropped all the way back to fear. I'm sorry, they were all pegged all the way up to extreme greed. They've dropped themselves back down to fear, and it looks like they're actually moving towards extreme fear if they continue to run at the rate that they've been going backwards in this. So we will see what happens with that and where that goes. Let's talk about the arrest while we are waiting to see if we do get some announcement coming off of here from the Daily Wire. Large crowd gathers outside of Fulton County Jail awaiting Trump's arrival, which KTZed was at earlier today. I guess the Scrubs John Travolta crossover Super Bowl ad didn't pad out. I might not know what that is, but I also didn't watch the Super Bowl this past year because of the Kenosha riots and them putting Jacob Blake's name on their helmets. I have debated doing football this year again because I haven't heard a lot of stupid out of them. Plus, with Rodgers out now, we might actually see some good interesting play coming off here and somebody actually trying for a while. From Zach Jewell. A large crowd of Trump supporters gathered outside the Fulton County, Georgia jail on Thursday, awaiting the former president's arrival. They're going to do it. I know they are. They're going to do it. Trump is expected to arrive at the jail on Thursday evening, where he will get fingerprinted and possibly have his mugshot taken, which will be on t-shirts by midnight tonight. Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis asked for the arraignment of Trump and 18 other defendants to take place in September. According to CNN, the judge overseeing the case will allow 4 local news stations to have cameras in the courtroom through September 8th, according to court documents, making Trump's 4th arraignment the most opportune for the media. The former president and current frontrunner in the Republican primary was charged by Willis last week with 13 counts, including charges for racketeering. Loyal Trump supporters showed up to the jail hours before Trump's expected arrival to voice their frustration with the prosecution of the sitting president's chief political opponent. Let's have a look at what's happening with that. I mean, it's not a big crowd, and I'm happy for that. Because I know that every time they do one of these things, they're sitting here waiting for like 10,000, 15,000, 100,000 people to come out and do this. The show of support for Trump, including a group calling themselves Blacks for Trump, who were seen holding American flags and signs supporting the former president. When asked about Trump's latest indictment, one man said, "It's a bunch of bullshit," and called Willis a puppet for the white liberal. "I'm here to support Trump because they've been doing black men like this for decades," he said. "I know Trump is innocent. I support Trump against the 2-tier justice system. Fani Willis is full of shit." You can see why that wasn't on CNN. Other supporters arrived in a bus painted red, white, and blue with a picture of Trump on the side of it, while many people set up tents alongside the road to await Trump's arrival. And by the way, a lot of them are probably the vendors who follow every Trump event around the country. I've seen a lot of them when I went to the Trump rally in Waukesha County. Actually, it was in Waukesha City itself, too, on top of that. I talked to some of these guys, and when I had the live stream up and going, I said, I talked to a few of them and said, "Hey, what do you think about what's going on here? Do you guys enjoy this? Do you think this is good? Do you think this is right? What's going through your minds right now when you see all this stuff?" And they're sitting here, and these are people who that's what they do. They go to every Trump rally in an RV, set up a tent, and go sell stuff out there. And I bet you a bunch of them are out here just for this and making absolute bank. No, back up. I want to see the sign. Hey, what's the difference between a speed bump and a speed hump? Like, is there some porno going on behind that sign somewhere? Something that they can't show on the Daily Wire? Although they could easily actually probably show on X. Spartan with the one-track mind, of course. Crooked Nose Man Bad, as he always does.
This is just more free airtime for President Trump.
That was, by the way, put out by the Citizen Free Press, who called it a circus. More of this here. How much do you suppose that big flag cost, by the way? So they're gathered up outside of there. They don't give me an idea on the number. Just kind of looking on these few little ones, I would say, and extrapolating out a little bit from everything else. I would say probably somewhere 300 to 1,000, depending on how big of an area this is out here, which, by the way, will make for a really, really good insurrection if the feds decide to put their fingers into it. And, of course, what I have been saying for the past few minutes. Breaking, Trump is arrested. Let's get the breaking news out of CNBC. All right, we have the booking info is posted. Yep, he's traveled to Atlanta. He steps off the plane. They have the booking info. Let's bring this over to this screen. A violation of the RICO Act. Solicitation of violation of oath, conspiracy to commit, conspiracy to commit, conspiracy to commit, process crime, process crime, process crime, process crime, process crime, filing false documents, solicitation of violation of oath by a public officer, process crime, false statements in writings, solicitation of violation of oath by public officer, process crime, false statements in writings, bunch of bullshit. And nothing else there. The jail records list Trump as 6'3", white male, weighing 215, with blonde or strawberry hair and blue eyes. I bet you everybody who guessed his weight over on stupid fucking X got it wrong. Oh, he's probably 500 pounds. He's a fat tub of lard and this and that and the next thing. But the reason that I wanted to bring to this one here, some MAGA fans think a pro-Trump rally outside the Atlanta jail is an FBI setup. Which, I mean, rightfully think that, because your big rally at January the 6th, which is part of the reason that we're doing half of this crap in the first place, was a setup. Oops, can I say that a lot on YouTube? At this point, I actually don't care. Except for the fact that I might lose 6 years worth of work if I do that. That's the only reason that I might actually restrain myself for the rest of August. This is from Ryan J. Riley. After having vast and conspiracy theories about the January 6th selfie fest, some supporters of former President Trump are worried that a rally Trump is promoting outside the Fulton County Jail in Georgia ahead of the expected surrender in the state election interference case is an FBI setup, which is, by the way, the reason that I didn't go. The rally, promoted by the far-right activist Laura Loomer. Far-right! Is expected at 10 a.m. Eastern Time on Thursday, the day that Trump has said he plans to turn himself in. Trump posted a link to a Newsweek article about the rally on his social media platform, Truth Social, as well as a screenshot of a Loomer post calling on Trump supporters to gather at the jail. And if you do that, you are taking your fate into your own hands, by the way. On both Truth Social and X, The Elon Musk-owned platform, formerly known as Twitter, conservative users are worried the undercover law enforcement officials and Antifa activists, who are also undercover law enforcement officials, were behind the rally, planning to use it as a setup to arrest Trump supporters. Watch out for the FBI and Antifa BLM to stir up a riot, a social media user with a display name Ultra Mega wrote. Be careful, it could be a setup just like January 6th, another user wrote. Watch out for FBI plants, echoed another user. They can play havoc with your peaceful plans. The social media posts were highlighted by Advanced Democracy, a nonpartisan research organization. And now, of course, NPC News has to put their 2 cents into this one here. January 6th was not, in fact, an FBI setup. More than 1,000 Trump supporters have been arrested for their actions during the Capitol riot, including some who conspiracy theorists have suggested were undercover agents bent on entrapping conservatives. In late 2021, on Tucker Carlson's former Fox News show, a right-wing attorney for January 6 defendants told viewers that a man dressed in a red face paint and wearing a Keep America Great hat was clearly a law enforcement officer, saying he was an agent provocateur, provoking the crowd. Oh my God. Oh, look at that. The FBI arrested the man, rally runner, this month. You couldn't come up with a more fake name than that? A more believable fake name than that, I should say. Runner, a huge Trump supporter and former fan of Carlson, was known to the St. Louis Cardinals fans as the man who ran around the stadium, and now lives in Wyoming with new fingerprints, a new face, and a new identity. It wasn't a setup. Stop thinking that. These fucking people, I swear. Mogwai says Trump has been arrested so many times now he qualifies to be Lindsay Lohan's brother. Nice. All right. That's just our little blurb on what's happening right there. We will check back with that story as we go. But, well, let's do a quick refresh on this one. But we're going to talk about the debate from last night. Yes, I'm going to continue without supporting. I do every time. Trump arrested at Fulton County Jail, then released. Trump was arrested, then released at the Fulton County Jail at 7:44 p.m. Eastern Time. He was booked, which included being fingerprinted and having his mugshot taken. Show the mugshot. Show the mugshot. Trump made the arrangements with the bondsman to be released on a $200,000 bond. Is the mugshot out? £215. Fuck, I weigh more than he does. Son of a bitch. I'm 220 right now. They haven't released the mugshot yet. We're waiting. All right, let's talk about debate night. Oh, no, I have one before that. House Judiciary launches inquiry into Fulton County DA Fani Willis. From Annie Grayer and Melanie Zanona. The Republican-led House Judiciary has opened a congressional investigation into Fani Willis, a development that was first reported by CNN and comes the same day Trump is slated to surrender at the county jail after being charged for participating in schemes to meddle with Georgia's 2020 election results. The committee sent a letter to Willis on Thursday asking whether she communicated or coordinated with the Justice Department, who has indicted Trump twice on 2 separate cases, or used federal dollars to complete her investigation, which culminated in the 4th indictment of Trump. The questions from Republicans about whether Willis used federal funding on her state-level investigation mirrors the same line of inquiry Republicans used to probe Alvin Bragg, who indicted Trump in New York earlier this year for falsifying business records to cover up an alleged hush money scheme. Yes, he was indicted for 37 counts of misdemeanor falsification of business records that could all be upgraded to a felony, every single one of them, because they were used in connection with a felony that he wasn't charged with. The committee sent a letter to Willis on Thursday asking whether she communicated or coordinated with the Justice Department. We saw that already. In the letter to Willis, House Judiciary Chairman Jim Jordan, an Ohio Republican, laid out why he believes his panel has jurisdiction over the state-level probe and accused Willis of being politically motivated. noting that she set up a new campaign fundraising website just days before the indictment came down and complained that she required mugshots for those charged, including Trump's, which had not been the practice in his previous 3 indictments. Well, I mean, of course, she wants to have the record of being the first one to do it. You did not bring charges until 2.5 years later, at a time when the campaign for the Republican presidential nomination is in full swing, Jordan wrote. Moreover, you have requested that the trial in this matter begin on March 4th, the day before Super Tuesday and 8 days before the Georgia presidential primary. Which, by the way, it seems like she's moving that, and that's actually going to be... she wants to do this in October now. Jordan gave Willis a September 7th deadline to hand over any documents or communications related to their request, which she is not going to do, by the way. The DA's office declined to comment, but Willis has previously denied she coordinated with Special Counsel Jack Smith's office and has consistently defended her investigation against accusations that it was politically motivated. You know, in spite of the fact that it came at the exact same time as the other 3 indictments. All within 6 weeks, by the way. All 4 within 6 weeks. So I think they're right to look into it. What was funny about this, by the way, when they did this, was that the page shills right away came out, started saying that this was Jim Jordan interfering in a state-level case, which they suddenly care about state-level cases. And I shit you not, the page shills on X were saying that this was Banana Republic-level material. In the midst of a political persecution of a political enemy, the page shills were calling Jim Jordan's move Banana Republic material. Like, that legitimately happened today. Alright. From CNN, again. Highlights from the first 2024 presidential debate. This is a live blog, but they have not updated in 8 hours, so we'll look at the last entry to this one. What you need to know about the first GOP presidential primary debate. 8 of Trump's primary rivals brawled for second-place status Wednesday night at the first 2024 primary debate. If you're just catching up, here's what you need to know. Vivek Ramaswamy, the 38-year-old entrepreneur and first-time candidate, was alongside Florida man Ron DeSantis in the center stage, and he was a central figure for much of the night. Ron DeSantis set the expectation that he would be the focal point of Wednesday's debate. He was anything but. He certainly didn't speak the most, though his campaign suggested his opponents would have their knives out. For DeSantis, he wasn't on the receiving end of many of the attacks. No, Vivek Ramaswamy ran a lot of cover for him. When moderators asked DeSantis whether Pence was right to reject Trump's pressure campaign to overturn the 2020 election, which didn't happen, by the way, the Florida man attempted to dodge, ignoring what he'd been asked and complaining about the weaponization of the federal government, but Pence dug in, putting DeSantis on the spot. Which was like a good little uniparty shill. The American people deserve to know whether everyone on the stage agrees that I kept my oath. Why? Why? Do you have to take an oath that Mike Pence did his job in order to come into the cool boys club? Is that what this is? There's no more important duty, so answer the question. Mike did his duty. I've got no beef with him, DeSantis said, attempting to quickly move on. The moment illustrated how cautious the Florida governor is of alienating Trump's base. Christie doesn't have a breakout moment. No, he spent all of his time going after Ramaswamy. While Christie's ChatGPT shine was reminiscent of his past debate performance. Yeah, Marco Robato 2.0. He failed to trip up Ramaswamy. Instead, the Ohio businessman went on to attack him over his criticism of Trump. Tim Scott stuck to the Mr. Nice Guy routine. The problem was that approach kept him out of most of the exchanges. And when he did get into the exchange, it was my Lord, my Savior is going to be my vice president. And I will take him into my decisions on everything that I do. And may God, by my witness, smite down my political enemies. And the whole televangelism thing. On the few little chances that he had to go with this. So, that is what they say with that. From the Associated Press, Ramaswamy takes center stage, plus other key moments from the first debate. From Steve Peoples and Nicholas Riccardi. Former President Trump and Florida man Ron DeSantis have dominated the Republican presidential nomination fight for much of the year. Neither dominated the debate stage Wednesday night. Trump, of course, decided to skip. No, he did not. I promise you, he did not decide to skip. And by the way, I've listened to about half of the Tucker interview, and again, it was probably a better situation for him because we've got somebody here who's not going to stand up on the stage and try to speed up, hey, what do you think? Do you want to get Mike Pence? Do you want to get him? Tell us what you want to say about his participation in these inquiries and everything. Come on, you want to say it. Come on, say it. Do it. Or anything else that would violate. I don't think they would go like the whole Luciferian route, of course, obviously. Although they are politicians and Republicans, so Luciferian is not too far out of the question. But I don't think they would go directly down the Luciferian route. But again, I mean, these are lawyers who have made their careers on tripping people up on their words and trying to get them to say the quiet part out loud. DeSantis showed up, but he was overshadowed for much of the night by political newcomer Vivek Ramaswamy. And there was no shortage of aggressive performances from the others on the stage either. Nikki Haley, Mike Pence, and Chris Christie were aggressive when given the opportunity. Look, Chris Christie came into this looking for a fight. Like, he has been pacing around with his boxing gloves on for weeks and weeks before he decided to come out and say, hey, Jeff Garland, will you do this for me? But he's been pacing around for a while saying, I'm going to get Trump. We're going to get him on the debate stage, and I'm going to take a swing and take a jab, and I'm going to get him. He came into this looking for a fight. And when Trump wasn't there for him to go back and fight with, he took all of his aggression out on Ramaswamy. Now, one thing that I will say about Ramaswamy and his performance last night, I don't think that Ramaswamy has what it takes to be the president. I wouldn't vote for him. But Ramaswamy is really good at one thing that I noticed last night. And I hope that this means that he stays in the primary for quite a while. And that is that Vivek Ramaswamy is really, 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 really good at getting people to say what they really think in their subconscious out loud. And he did that a couple times last night. He got Chris Christie to obviously go out and do his belligerent bully routine, which was hilarious to see from Christie, who also went on to say that he would use the federal government and federal resources to impact and push order on the American people outside of the bounds of the 10th Amendment. And, of course, getting Nikki Haley to basically scream that we need to go back and to have another forever war. He's good at that. He is damn good at getting people to say that quiet part out loud. Which I hope means that he's going to wind up ending some of these dumb fucks' political careers, but we'll see what happens with that and where that goes. From the Hill, the ratings. By the way, why don't I have the live chat up? That's because white genocide doesn't exist. There is no such thing as white genocide. And if you want to prevent white genocide, have more sex, screw more girls, and have more babies. Mogwai says, Mr. Vice President, you'll get your time. It's J. Edgar's turn. Tim Scott, Jesus is my savior. I got that from my single mother who raised me, Senator Scott. Yeah, but sir, this is a Wendy's. You knew Christie was looking to fight because he closed 3 bridges before the debate. Ramaswamy reminds me of Cal Penn. Yeah, he's like an anorexic Cal Penn, you're right. And yeah, Cal is actually good at that too. Like, I've seen him do stand-up and things like that outside of his acting careers. Well, if you want to stop the white genocide, go fucking a bunch of girls. You can do it. Have a bunch of unprotected sex. You'll feel really, really good, and you'll make white babies. Hey, look, the end of white genocide. I just solved white genocide in a second. Because I'm smart. And I don't blame another entire nation for all my problems. From the Hill, debate ratings, 12.8 million watched GOP candidates minus Trump battle on Fox News, and 29 million watched the live performance of Tucker with Trump, which again I watched half of. From Dominic Mastrangelo. Nearly 13 million people watched the first Republican primary debate on Fox News on Wednesday, well below the 20 million that tuned into Fox to watch the first GOP primary debate in 2015 when Trump debuted on the stage. The 2015 debate was like nothing that had been previously seen on a presidential debate stage, as Trump, familiar to millions from his years on The Apprentice, battled former Florida Governor Jeb Bush and a host of more experienced politicians. He also memorably clashed with Megyn Kelly, who has since left the network. The first debate of the 24 cycle on Wednesday, in comparison, included a number of colorful moments, but was a bit more traditional. Without Trump, it did not have the front-runner for the party's nomination, as the former president is well ahead in most polls. Still, the telecast garnered 12.8 million views, including 2.8 million in the key advertising demographic of viewers between the ages of 25 to 54, according to Nielsen Media Research data. In the era of cord cutting that has seen televised ratings drop precipitously over the last decade, Fox highlighted the figure as a healthy number. It wasn't. More people watched the debate on Wednesday night than anything else on broadcast or cable television. Yeah, but a lot of people were still watching metal casting and makeup tutorials and music videos and dumb people doing dumb things on YouTube. Fox said the debate was the highest rated non-sports cable telecast of 2023, and that had topped more than 70% of all presidential primary debates in the 2016 and 2020 cycles. The last primary debate of 2020, which came in amid the beginning of the coronavirus pandemic, garnered over 10 million viewers on CBS after the two previous Democratic primary debates earned 19 million and 15 million viewers respectively. The 12.8 million figure accounts for views on cable Fox News broadcasts as well as Fox digital streams, but does not factor in viewers who saw clips from the debate on social media or portions of the event elsewhere. Yeah, I had a good 20 to 30 people coming just through my stream, and I'm a small streamer. I don't know, I think a lot more people tuned in for Tucker last night than anything else. On the Times, which is interesting to come out and see, because, as they always do, they do this statistical tracking of who spoke the most. And surprise, surprise, the most time on the mic was Mike Pence at 12 minutes and 37 seconds. It probably would have been a lot lower if they had actually cut off the mic while he was talking. Ramaswamy with 1147, because most people were asking him to, most people were demanding that he respond. Christie with 1122, DeSantis with 1022, so he was right about in the middle. Nikki Haley with 841, Tim Scott with 815, Doug Burgum with 8 minutes, which, after last night, I'm actually tangentially interested in what Doug Burgum has to say, and Asa Hutchinson at 7.5. Mogwai says Jeb Bush didn't put up a fight by the time the debate started. Jeb had already given up. Please clap. Anytime a Bush gives up, that is a That is a win for the American people. Apparently abortion was the most discussed topic throughout this, with almost 8 minutes of coverage for this. Trump with 7 minutes, just about. Their credentials, 6.5. Education, 5 3/4. And border security, 5.5. Who was attacked the most? Biden. Then Trump and Ramaswamy. And then Haley, Pence, DeSantis, Scott, and Christie. Which I do appreciate the fact that they put most of their ire towards Biden throughout this. Because again, it would have been very, very easy to turn around and put all the ire towards the Donald. And a lot of them tried to do so. Let's see. News Channel 8 NBC out of Tampa. Who won the first primary debate? A poll from Rachel Tucker. I don't know, and I haven't pre-read this, so I don't know who they're going to say won this. I know a lot of people are trying to say Ron DeSantis won that debate, but I mean, that's the AstroTurf Ron DeSantis fandom, too, that is being promoted by Twitter because Elon Musk has his thumb on the scale. I would say if you had to choose a winner in that shit show, it was Ramaswamy. Again, not because he's going to get a major polling boost or get his candidacy taken seriously, but the fact that he was able to get everybody out there to say the quiet part out loud. Everybody he confronted dropped the mask and said what their actual agenda was, including warmonger Nikki Haley, who probably ended her political career last night. I know Pence did. Pence absolutely ended his political career last night. But I know a lot of people are saying, DeSantis is the winner. Ramaswamy, with the second place of Burgum, if I were to get polled from this, won that last night. Because Burgum actually made a believer out of me. And yes, Ramaswamy got people to say the deepest, stupidest, dumbest parts of their campaign platforms out loud, instead of in the background while they're moving things around. Oh, they're still polling. So their poll is going very differently than what everything's going on X, and according to their poll, they agree basically with me that Vivek is at 44%. Tim Scott, Jesus at 2, Asa Hutchinson at 1, Mike Pence at 4, warmonger Haley Lady Bush at 26, Florida Man at 13, Doug Burgum at 3, so that's different from what I would have thought, and Jeff Garland clone at 7%. It's kind of interesting how they go back and try to astroturf this whole thing and saying that Vivek Ramaswamy lost everything on this one when he is clearly the front runner in a poll. And I bet you there are other polls out there that are saying the same thing. I know who lost the debate last night. The American people. Got one from Politico. Body language told me everything I needed to know about the GOP debate. This'll be interesting. From Joe Navarro, the Republican candidates for president revealed more than they thought on Wednesday. I've been studying nonverbal communication for over 50 years, 25 of them as an FBI agent. Well, that disqualifies you from speaking intelligently on absolutely anything. Specializing in decoding human behavior, I learned that humans are fairly good at lying. But they're lousy at concealing their true emotions, especially when stressed. We reveal our unspoken thoughts in our bodies, faces flushed with embarrassment, lips pursed at unwelcome questions, fingers covering the neck dimple. When discussing a touchy subject, once interviewed a spy whose cigarette hand shook every time I mentioned the name of a co-conspirator. I'll bet you anything that didn't happen. But one of the things that you need to remember for everybody who was up on that stage is it's actually really, really easy to tell when these people up here are lying. It's very easy to tell when they're lying. Their lips are moving. Here's what I noticed at the debate. Ron DeSantis looked angry. Yeah, he put his angry face on. His Mr. Potato Head angry face on. As Trump's closest rival, Florida man Ron DeSantis spoke first. He was a little nervous, as to be expected from the opening candidate. His lips quivered. He looked almost angry. His voice was forceful and lacked modulation, which made it hard for viewers to distinguish his most important points. And throughout most of the event, he failed to smile. Oh, he attempted to. He's got a weird thing with his face, where I don't know if the smile reaction goes from his brain to his mouth the right way, but like he has to force himself to smile. Ramaswamy had a ball. Yes, he did. Former biotech entrepreneur Ramaswamy consistently looked the most comfortable on the stage, almost as if he was having fun. He smiled frequently and seemed to enjoy the audience's choruses of cheers and boos. Chris Christie spoke with his eyes. Yeah, he had his angry eyes in. Look at me, I'm Chris Christie. I hosted the Comedy Central roast of Dennis Leary. Oh wait, no, that was Garland. Alright, I gotta do this for Grant. I don't know if Grant is even watching right now, but I gotta do this for Grant. Tell me that's not the same person as Chris Christie. And you guys might know this person if you've seen The Goldbergs, which is apparently something on network television I've never seen. Curb Your Enthusiasm, Daddy Daycare, one of his stand-up specials, I think. We can even look and see what else he's been in. Known for Curb Your Enthusiasm, Wall-E, Safety Not Guaranteed. I know he's been in something. He's been famous about something. He had an uncredited spot in Rise of Skywalker, but nobody ever saw that movie, so... Come on, there's got to be something I can... It was in Two Broke Girls, which we talked about that and Things I Like before, so... If you're young enough, Wizards of Waverly Place, I know that he was regular on that. I was dating a second grade teacher when that TV show came out. But, I mean, just for the most part, a laundry list of comedy movies and TV shows. He was a Cyclops in Austin Powers: The Spy Who Shagged Me. That would be a big one that you'd recognize him from. RoboCop 3, he was there. Dear John, Spring Break, Roseanne, the original series. So, I mean, he's had a lot of small roles, so I can understand why you might not understand and know who he is. But, again, tell me that is not Chris Christie. There's Garland. There's Christie. There's Garland. There's Christie. Tell me I'm wrong. Former New Jersey Governor Chris Christie showed off his years of debate experience. Yeah, jerk him off a few more times. His gestures were well measured, giving him a sense of calm, and he spoke in a modulated tone that commanded attention. His posture was confident and relaxed. But what really stood out about Christie was his eyes. He used his laser-like eyes more than anyone else, boring into his opponents. Gee, I wonder who Politico's in the tank for. Narrowing his eyelids to emphasize his message, arching his eyebrows to intensify his word. Jesus Christ. Politico, I hope you got knee pads before you went on down in front of Jeff Garland / Chris Christie. Mike Pence, read my lips. We can't, because you won't stop talking. We can hear you. We don't need to read your lips. Tim Scott's hands and heart were open, so he could receive the Holy Spirit. Nikki Haley tensed her jaw for a fight. Yes, yeah, that she did. Doug Burgum's cringy Constitution moment. Which, again, in what I saw, he wound up being one of the front runners for this. I don't know. The guy who wrote this seems like he's a moron. And in the tank for somebody. Got one here from our friends over at NPR. The viral song Richmond North of Richmond made its way to the RNC debate stage from Odette Youssef. And remember, NPR is only 10% government funded, so make sure you hit that donate button because they need our donations and our money, comrade, to make sure that they can tell you how evil everybody was on the stage except for the ones that they're in the tank for. So hit that donate button. Let's see what they have to say. NPR is never printing reality. National Progressive Radio. Let's see where they go with this. The first primary debate opened up with a nod to breakout country song Richmond North of Richmond that has achieved the unusual feat of topping the Billboard 100 charts almost overnight. The song, which is being hailed by some as a kind of hillbilly elegy for the working class, comes from a previously unknown singer who goes by the name Oliver Anthony. It rails against the hardship of taxation, but also against people on welfare, and it nods to a conspiracy theory that's become a mainstay for the far right. Yes, Epstein didn't kill himself. In one lyric, Anthony says, "I wish politicians would look out for minors and not just minors on an island somewhere." The mention of minors on an island is understood to refer to the Epstein scandal. Though Epstein died in jail in 2019, the circumstances around his death continue to feed conspiratorial thinking. Wow! This is what funds your government, folks. Well, I can understand why they won't bite the hand that feeds them. That really opened a lot of people to conspiratorial content that they might not have otherwise interacted with, said Jared Holt. Because of course it's Jared Holt, senior researcher at the Institute for Strategic Dialogue, and also the person who clips all these wonderful podcasts and tells everybody who is a white supremacist and who isn't. Holt said anxieties around the pink coat pox and false narratives around a stolen election are often mixed in with content that was skeptical about Epstein's death, bringing people further along the breadcrumb trail of conspiratorial thinking. Jesus. And you know what the worst part of this is they don't even believe this shit. But they want to make sure that you believe what they want you to believe. Like, they know what happened. Even leftoids know that Epstein didn't kill himself. But it got center stage at the debate. Fucking spare me. Alright, I got one more article on this. And then we are going to look at basically a stack of debate clips curated by the Daily Wire. From The Blaze, red-haired bobblehead issued direct challenge over her viral attempt to defend Democrats on abortion. Yeah, that was stupid. Like, as soon as they were saying this, the paid shills came out and said, "Nobody supports abortion up till the moment of birth," in spite of the fact that there were 2 bills that went through the House last year that made abortion legal up to the moment of birth. From Chris Enlow. MSDNC host, red-haired bobblehead, was issued a challenge on Wednesday after she claimed that no one supports limitless abortion. Abortion was the most discussed topic of the presidential primary debate, which is why Republicans lose, by the way. According to the New York Times, you've won on the topic already. You've overturned Roe, you've returned the legality and the legal options back to the states, which means that people can go out and outlaw this, and all the deaths will be happening in blue states to blue voters. You've won. So I don't know why that was. And Ronnie Romney is saying the same thing. If we don't talk about abortion, we'll lose in November. No, if you do talk about abortion, you lose in November. You won. Shut up about it. The candidates clashed over whether they would support a nationwide ban on abortion. That debate aside, the candidates agreed that Democrats go too far on abortion, and Ron DeSantis reiterated his position that Democrats want to allow abortion up all the way up to the moment of birth. But that's not true, claimed Bobblehead, the former White House press secretary. No one supports abortion up to birth, she posted on X. The viral claim received a significant response and, importantly, a direct challenge to Bobblehead. If that's true that no one supports abortion up to birth, then please tell the world which specific restrictions to abortion you support. This is big news. Democrats have apparently changed their position, according to red-haired Bobblehead, since they overwhelmingly voted to allow abortion up to birth last year, and Biden supported it. So, red-haired, what restrictions on abortion do Democrats support? Please be specific, Rick Scott of Florida said. Excellent. Oh, that's Shapiro. Okay, gang. Excellent. Please explain your favorite abortion restrictions, okay? Okay, gang? Fox News host Guy Benson says, really, what limitations does your party support? Yeah, they support it. All right, let's look at some clips. DeSantis touts his law and order record, vows to send U.S. military to Mexico to kill cartels in one of the stupidest moments in RNC history. This one actually takes the cake. It's probably one of the stupidest moments anywhere in the history of the Republican National Committee. From Ryan Saavedra. Oh, we need to refresh so we can get the clip. Fondacaro says DeSantis has his plan to stop the fentanyl crisis in America is to leave the drug pushers crossing the border stone cold dead. McCallum asked DeSantis to speak more about his plan to take on the drug cartels, and if that includes sending U.S. Special Forces over the border into Mexico, he says he would authorize that action on day one, constituting an invasion of a sovereign country and bringing us in the midst of a border war. The Republican Party, everybody. Let's watch.
Governor DeSantis, you were mentioned in the territorial dispute. Not only...
No, it's not a territorial dispute either.
President of the United States, your first obligation is to defend our country and its people. And that means you're sending all this money, but you're not doing what we need to do to secure our own border. We have tens of thousands of people who are being killed because, well, we're not handling both. And so I am going to declare it a national emergency. I'm not going to send troops to Ukraine, but I am going to send them to our southern border. When these drug pushers are bringing fentanyl across the border, that's going to be the last thing they do. We're going to use force, and we're going to leave them stone cold dead.
But wait, he wasn't done.
Let's go to Governor DeSantis. So, as president, would you support sending U.S. Special Forces over the border into Mexico to take out fentanyl labs, to take out drug cartel operations? Would you support that kind of American military use?
Yes, and I will do it on day one. Here's the thing. The cartels are killing tens of thousands of our fellow citizens. You want to talk about a country in decline? You have the cartels controlling a lot of part of your southern border. We have to reestablish the rule of law, and we have to defend our people. The President of the United States has got to use all available powers as Commander-in-Chief to protect our country and to protect the people. So when they're coming across, yes, we're going to use lethal force. Yes, we reserve the right to operate. How many more tens of thousands are we going to let to die? I am sick. I've met angel moms throughout this country. I met a lady in Texas named Tracy, and her son took one Percocet that was laced with fentanyl, immediately died. That is happening all across this country because of the poison that they are bringing in. So as president, would I use force? Would I treat them as foreign terrorist organizations? You're darn right I would.
I hate to say this, but going into a foreign country to take down a foreign terrorist organization is also wrong. And is also an invasion, by the way. Just so you know. But leave it to Republicans to be absolutely comfortable with invading a foreign country full of brown people. Also going on to say that he would come back and completely supersede the electoral processes of lower courts.
How do you stop crime?
Well, actually, crime's at a 50-year low in Florida.
Not in Miami.
We're happy with that. Well, the statewide, it's a 50-year low. And so here's the thing. These hollowed out cities, this is a symptom of America's decline. And one of the biggest reasons is because you have George Soros funding these radical left-wing district attorneys. They get into office and they say they're not going to prosecute crimes they disagree with. The inmates start running the asylum. There's one guy in this entire country that's ever done anything about that. Me. When we had two of these district attorneys in Florida elected with Soros funding who said they wouldn't do their job, I removed them from their posts. They are gone. And as president, we are going to go after all of these people because they are hurting the quality of life and they are victimizing innocent people in every corner of this country. And it will stop when I get in.
Yeah, you don't have the constitutional authority to do that. The only reason you have it in Florida is because there is a provision in your state's constitution that you can do that.
The office.
Okay, one more here before
DM Ryan, welcome.
Well, Brett and Martha, I just thought it was
All right, on to Nikki Haley. Nikki Haley calls out Republicans on inflation. Defends Israel aid in first GOP debate. Somebody go check on Spartan. He might die after this. Nikki Haley came out swinging on several issues during the Republican presidential debate on Wednesday, calling out her fellow Republicans for high inflation and defending America's relationship with Israel. The former governor vigorously pushed her policies on foreign relations and abortion as candidates tried to break out from a crowded Republican 2024 field. In a heated back and forth with Vivek, a tech entrepreneur and political newcomer, Haley slammed Ramaswamy on his foreign policy views, in spite of the fact that he was the only right one on the stage.
A win for Russia is a win for China. We have to know that. Ukraine is the first line of defense for us. And the problem that Vivek doesn't understand is he wants to hand Ukraine to Russia. He wants to let China eat Taiwan. He wants to go and stop funding Israel. You don't do that to friends. What you do instead is you have the backs of your friends. Ukraine is the front line of defense. Putin has said once Russia takes Ukraine, Poland and the Baltics are next. That's a world war. We're trying.
Can you show me that clip, by the way? And I want an independent translator, too. Because this sounds an awful lot like WMD's.
To prevent war. Look at what Putin did today. He killed Prigozhin. When I was at the UN, the Russian ambassador suddenly died. This guy is a murderer, and you are choosing a murderer over a pro-American country.
First of all, Mr. Ramaswamy, you have 30 seconds. Mr. DeSantis,
Nikki, I wish you well in your future career on the boards of Lockheed and Raytheon.
You know, I'm not on
but the fact of the matter,
and you know,
Boeing came off of it, but you've been pushing this.
He did say future career, by the way.
Lie. You've been pushing this lie all week, Nikki.
You want to go and defund Israel? You want to
okay, let me address that. I'm glad you brought that up. I'm going to address each of those right now. This is the false lies of a professional politician. There you have it.
Your watch,
so the reality
make America less safe. You have no foreign policy experience, and it shows.
And you know what? The foreign policy experience that you all have shows in the pointless wars we've gotten into. I have to address that. So our relationship with Israel will never be stronger than by the end of my first term. But it's not a client relationship. It is a friendship. And you know what friends do? Friends help each other stand on their own 2 feet. So I will lead Abraham Accords 2.0. I will partner with Israel to make sure Iran never is nuclear armed. But you know what I love about Israel? And I've been there probably in the last 10 years more than most people on this stage. You know what I love about them? I love their border policies. I love their tough on crime policies. I love that they have a national identity and an iron dome to protect their homeland. And so, yes, I want to learn from the friends that we're supporting. And what puzzles me is, I want to learn from those and apply those to protect our homeland, Nikki.
Israel
that is the
needs
answer.
America. America needs Israel.
Okay, Governor DeSantis, you were mentioning.
Yeah, they weren't real happy with each other over that one. And, I mean, again, you're talking to the first person who wants to go back and cut off foreign aid because we give way too much money to other countries for free to try to shape and influence political discourse throughout the rest of the world. I know they come back and say they're protecting shipping lanes or something stupid like that, but no, it's a giveaway to try to get the right people and the correct people into the offices that our friends in the Uniparty want to have, in the offices that they want. I mean, they overtly did it in Oman, the UAE, Yemen, Syria, and the Ukraine. And Kosovo, by the way, too. And I am not an anti-Israel person. I mean, most people who know me know that I'm probably one of the most pro-Semitic human beings on this planet. I mean, if you ask some people, and I've said this before, I would like to help propagate the Jewish race. I've seen some of their women, and I very much approve. I'd like to help propagate some of that. But that doesn't mean that we need to go sink our entire GDP into their defense. They're big boys. They've been fighting over that plot of sand since Abraham was walking around. I'm pretty sure they know how to defend it at this point. But hey, what do I know? I have as much foreign policy experience as Vivek Ramaswamy. Oh my god. I think this is... Ramaswamy has drawn up applause for Haley dunking on him. Yeah, it's the same clip we just watched, so we'll skip this one here and we'll do the last one. Ramaswamy shut down the Department of Education, move funding to parents to allow school choice. From Leaf LeMahieu, which I am a big supporter of school choice. Send the taxpayer dollars with the student, not to the school. But see, the public education system doesn't like that because, well, they can't compete. From Leaf LeMahieu, Vivek Ramaswamy called for shutting down the DOE and moving that funding into the hands of parents so they could have the opportunity to decide where to educate their children. Let's listen.
So, to the education question, how would you deal with the crisis?
So look, we have a crisis of achievement. Let's shut down the head of the snake, the Department of Education. Take that $80 billion, put it in the hands of parents across this country. This is the civil rights issue of our time. Allow any parent to choose where they send their kids to school. End the teachers' unions at the local level to allow public schools to compete. And then revive our national identity where every high school senior should have to pass the same civics test that frankly every immigrant, including my mother, had to pass in order to become a citizen of this country. And the fact of the matter is, look, there's part of education policy that also rests with the family. I didn't grow up in money, but you know the word privilege gets used a lot? Well, you know what? I did have the ultimate privilege of two parents in the house with a focus on educational achievement. And I want every kid to enjoy that. So part of the problem is we also have a federal government that pays single women more not to have a man in the house than to have a man in the house, contributing to an epidemic of fatherlessness. And I think that goes hand in glove with the education crisis as well, because we have to remember education starts with the family, and the nuclear family is the greatest form of governance known to mankind.
And I mean, there's that. And I mean, I grew up in a nuclear family household too. And I will come on and say that, yes, that puts me into a completely different set of ideals and work ethic going forward. So that is the ultimate privilege. Tim Scott says the only way we can change education in this nation is to break the backs of the teachers' unions, which is, by the way, what Choice would do.
On education, the only way we change education in this nation is to break the backs of the teachers' unions. They are standing in the doorhouse of our kids, locking them into failing schools and locking them out of the greatest future they could have.
Yeah, but he didn't expand on that. Ron DeSantis, we need education in this country, not indoctrination in this country. Which is always funny because the indoctrinators in this country say that events like this and hearing people on the stage is the indoctrination.
We need education in this country, not indoctrination in this country. And in Florida, we stood.
And realistically, we need to do something else. I mean, I went to high school before they did the grade skipping thing. Otherwise, I probably would have graduated 2 to maybe 3 years earlier than I did. I was like, started that like right after. It was one of my younger cousins was one of the first people I ever heard of doing grade skipping. And I was so far ahead of my classmates, I was bored with everything because the education system is lowest common denominator in this country. Didn't used to be that way, and part of that is the teachers' unions. Part of it is also the fact that they're trying to make sure that no child gets left behind, but that was your debate recap. That actually took up almost the entire show, based on the fact that I do have a hard out tonight. Let's do just a little bit more here, because we can talk a bit more about what's going on with the government. Let's do these last two, and then we'll go do things I like and things that I hate. From NPC News, McCarthy says GOP could launch impeachment inquiry into Biden when House reconvenes, which is like today. It's like today or tomorrow, I think. So we might have this news on tomorrow's stack. From Summer Concepcion, McCarthy said on Tuesday, the House could move forward with an impeachment inquiry into President Biden if his admin doesn't provide documents Republicans say they want to review, which he won't, by the way. In a Fox Business interview on Tuesday, McCarthy was asked whether he has made up his mind whether to launch an impeachment inquiry. It really doesn't matter because nothing's going to come out of it. Except we'll get the statistics of impeached president! The thing that holds up whether we'll do an impeachment inquiry, provide the documents we're asking, he said, the whole determination here is how the Bidens handle this. Well, gee, I'm sorry, we can't look at these documents right now because we're currently under an investigation in a federal court. Oops, sorry. It's like when Kelso kept trying to bust in on Donna changing her shirt. Deliberately, but he always led with, oops, sorry! Yeah. That's what the Bidens are going to be doing when they accidentally can't reveal their documents. If they provide us the documents, there wouldn't be a need for an impeachment inquiry, he said. But if they withhold the documents and fight like they have now not to provide the American public what they deserve to know, We will move forward with an impeachment inquiry, and then we come back into session. McCarthy said Republicans are seeking bank and credit card statements, but he did not specify from which members of the Biden family. And I don't, again, know what it is you intend to find here, because, I mean, these people have been moving money around in shell corporations for most of their adult lives. You don't think they figured out how to hide this shit? McCarthy also raised allegations that he mentioned in an interview last month with Sean Hannity. He told Hannity that allegations stemming from Republican probes into the business dealings of Biden family members are rising to the level of an impeachment inquiry. Well, at some point you're going to have to show your hand. And I'd like to see what's there. And again, we know that there's not going to be a conviction to this. We know it's not going to happen. All right, 2 more we're going to do here. From CNN Health, it may be time to break out the masks against the pinko pox, some experts say. So we have a virus that is so dangerous that it will get by 3 vaccines, 2 main shots and a booster, plus another booster every 6 months for the rest of eternity. It's so resilient it'll get by that, but somehow it'll be blocked by your Paw Patrol mask. Congratulations, you've been played. If you're at high risk of serious illness or death from the pinko pox, it's time to dust off those N95s and place them snugly over your nose and mouth to protect yourself from a recent uptick of the virus, according to a growing number of experts. It's time for you to go and fornicate yourself with an iron stick. I got suspended on X, by the way, for saying that once. That advice should go all the way up to 80-year-old President Biden, said Jonathan Reiner, a cardiologist. Octogenarians comprise the highest risk for complications following the pinko pox infection, Reiner said. At least until the numbers start to drop again, it would be appropriate for President Biden to take some precautions and wear a mask in crowds. Yeah, they're trying to play something else with this. Other high-risk groups include people with diabetes, cancer, chronic liver, kidney, or lung disease, organ or stem cell transplants, HIV or other immunocompromising conditions, a history of heart disease or stroke, dementia, or mental health issues. So, yep, they want you, and social distancing out to 12 feet now too, which actually I don't have a problem with that. Because people suck and I don't want to be that close to them. But not for this reason. So, it's coming back, folks. And one more I just want to touch on before we head out of here. Thomas Massie, I introduced H.R. 899, a one-sentence bill to eliminate the Department of Education. Based on what we see coming out of the debates. Yeah, they also want to mandate an amendment to the Constitution for healthcare. Libertarians, by the way. But this one, H.R. 899, a one-sentence bill to eliminate the Department of Education. Is it really one sentence? Let's look. Here's the text, introduced by Thomas Massie. There is one version of this bill. In the House of Representatives, Mr. Massie for himself, Mr. Biggs, Mr. Miller of Illinois, Mr. Bishop of North Carolina, Mr. Roy, Ms. Hageman, Mrs. Boebert, Mr. Burleson, and Mr. McCormick introduced the following bill, which was referred to the Committee on Education and the Workforce. A bill to terminate the Department of Education. Be it enacted by the Senate and House of Representatives if the U.S. Congress is assembled. Section 1, Termination of the Department of Education. The Department of Education shall terminate on December 31st, 2023. Technically, it's more than one sentence, but, they've got to have the legalese in there to make sure that they know that it's really a bill. It's never going to pass the Senate, unfortunately. Love to see it, but there are too many lobbyists that have their hands into the DOE for it to ever go anywhere. It's a nice thought. It really is. All right, let's do a couple things that I like and a couple things that I hate, and we'll be out of here for the night. Thing that I like tonight, number one. I've been kind of teasing this a little bit here, but I finished off Two Broke Girls and the other show that I was watching. And I found out that the classic from the 90s, Home Improvement, is on Disney+. So we're going to watch a little bit of clip of this, a couple clips from the show, and we'll talk about why I like this so much.
Wait a minute. Get this rope here. Just attach it here to my beater. And you can just head down towards that porta potty right down there.
Tim, be careful.
I don't know, Al. I think we should bid John farewell in the Tool Time fashion. A little tribute to John Binford with a Binford 21 nail gun salute.
Do you think this is a little dangerous, Tim?
Oh, wait, Warren, the protective drop cloth, please.
Have you tried this?
No, but the drop cloth will collect all of the nails. It'll be perfect.
Well, you've
Hold
tried
on,
this.
hold on. Klaus, some music, please. So long, Johnny.
Look, Tim, just be careful.
Hey, that's all of our show today. I'm Tim the Toolman Taylor. I gotta get out of here.
So, Home Improvement follows the life of an accident-prone host of a low-rated, at the time, local cable access home improvement show, which at the series finale, and I remember this from when I was growing up, the show went national. And we never really found out what happened to the Taylor family after the show went national. But it was a local area Detroit cable TV show, a local celebrity of sorts, who, in addition to having accidents like the 21 nail gun salute on his home improvement show, also struggled to understand the nuances and the ins and outs of the modern 90s family, the feminist movement versus the traditional movement that was still going on at the time, and just dealing with regular family life. The show is very touching, very endearing. It's very based, honestly, especially for something that was coming out of, and with the themes that they were having in this particular time period, because that's where third waverism was on the rise, and something like this just wasn't within the norm of everything else that we were seeing on TV. You know, happily married couple with the three boys, navigating the ins and outs of having the three boys and being happily married while setting other people up to continue to get happily married. It was general adult life. You know, it wasn't like 90210 where everybody was fucking everybody else at the same time or something else like that. If you've not seen this show, if you missed on this one, which I don't know how, because if you're anywhere close to my age, this was like the biggest show on television at the time. Like, number one, the top at the time. But if you slept on this one, it's all 8 seasons are on Disney Plus right now, because this is an ABC franchise. Definitely go take a recommend, or even, again, if you're coming back to it for the first time, one of the things that I've noticed, and I get major belly laughs out of this, is some of the more adult humor out of this coming between, actually, and surprisingly enough, only the married couples. But some of the adult things, the sexual innuendos and things like that, went completely over my head. when I was between the ages of 8 and 14 when this was first coming out. Now I'm 39 and I understand it. And like, I remember laughing at jokes that I completely missed at that time. So definitely worth the watch again. And just a wholesome time before smartphones took over absolutely every aspect of our lives. Another thing that I like, and then I actually have a couple things in the middle on this one that we'll do with some things that I hate. Also, speaking of the 90s, Nintendo confirms original Mario voice actor is stepping back from his role after 25 years. From Amanda Harding. That is right, the voice actor from Mario 64 and every other title since then is stepping back. The voice actor who gave life to Mario has officially retired. According to a tweet from the official Nintendo account, Charles Martinet was the voice of Mario for more than 25 years, but will no longer be voicing the iconic video game character. Martinet's voice has been featured in popular Mario projects including 64, Odyssey, Galaxy, plus many spin-offs since the 90s. Charles is now moving into the brand new role of Mario Ambassador. With his new transition, he'll be stepping back from recording character voices for our games. Nintendo's statement reads, "It's been an honor working with Charles to help bring Mario to life for so many years, and we want to thank and celebrate him, another big part of my childhood, and I do wish this gentleman a very, very happy and happiest of retirements. He has touched so many lives of people my age. Just by saying, okie dokie, or the controversial, the version that we don't really know what he was trying to say at the time. So long, K. Bowser! Did he say K or did he say gay? We may never know. Enjoy your retirement, Charles Martinet. You've earned it. A couple things kind of in the middle for this one. These could go on to things that I like and things that I hate, although I can't really say why I like this one on YouTube because that might go against their TOS, but from NBC News, IRS agent fatally shot during a training exercise. Oh man, there's so many things that I want to say, but I'm on a YouTube and a Twitch stream. An agent with the IRS was shot and killed on Thursday during a routine training exercise in North Phoenix. Charlotte Dennis, a spokesperson for the IRS Phoenix field office, confirmed special agents were participating in the exercise at a firing range when the shooting happened. The agent, whose name was not released, died shortly after arriving at Honor Health Deer Valley Medical Center. Dennis said no other injuries were reported. Why do IRS agents need to have guns? And lethal training? Why are we not questioning that? I mean, in part, this part of the problem solved itself at this point. The range is on property that belongs to the Federal Bureau of Prisons, but because of interagency agreement, other law enforcement agencies typically use the facility. Boo-hoo. I'm so sad. A person who wants to take every penny out of your wallet has passed away unexpectedly. Another one that's kind of in the middle for this one here. Partially because I like this, because this could actually save some lives and give women who've had uterine cancer or ovarian cancer or things like that a second chance to fulfill their dreams of having a family. But the reason that this lands on the line, and I could possibly go and hate this, because I don't think that that's going to be the vast majority of customers who use this service. In fact, I think this is going to go right for the transgender movement. But UK's first ever womb transplant hailed by doctors as a dawn of a new era in fertility treatment. The recipient's sister, who already has children, was donated her womb to her younger sibling, who was born without a uterus. Now, it doesn't say if this is a transsexual thing, as why this person was born without a uterus, or if this was a person with a birth defect, but the first ever womb transplant in the UK has been hailed as the dawn of a new era in fertility treatment. A 40-year-old woman who has already had 2 children decided to help her 34-year-old sister who had been born without a uterus. Now 6 months on, the recipient is having periods and is preparing to eventually have her own embryos implanted, already created via IVF with her own eggs. Well, if it's with her own eggs, then that's actually probably... then yeah, it was just a birth defect on the uterine side, because this person still has ovaries. Not sure how this works, but I'm also not a doctor. And I'm still not entirely convinced this is not a trans thing. Richard Smith, one of the 2 lead surgeons during the operation, said it's been a massive success, describing the joy he shared with the sisters during a clinic 1 month on. We were all in tears. It was very emotional, he said. I think it was probably the most stressful week of our surgical careers, but also unbelievably positive. The donor and recipient are just over the moon. The recipient lives in England, and she and her sister do not wish to be named. So, the surgery was funded by Womb Transplant UK at a cost of £25,000, which include paying the NHS for the theatre time and the patient's hospital stay. Again, I think this is fantastic because of an instance where a birth defect might leave a woman otherwise infertile. But on the other end of this, again, I don't know that this is going to be the common recipient of such a surgery. And you know the truth as well as I do. Now for a couple things that I hate. From the Newsweek, and this is an opinion piece, Jason Fields, deputy opinion editor from Newsweek, telling us blaming progressives for crime is the height of privilege. No, it's just that we have statistics and you have progressives out there who see, hey, I can't prosecute this crime because the perpetrator is black. There's an ever-increasing fear out there in America, fear of both crime and of each other. A terrific article in the Washington Post started with an anecdote about a guy who owns a big house in a gated community in the safest suburb in town. He's got a full set of security cameras, but they're not infrared, so he's shopping around. I'm still paranoid, and I live in an overdone gated community, the man told the Post reporter. The man in a mansion is not alone. Some people in America feel less safe than they used to, even as crime goes down for them. They point to urban areas where many poor people of color live and are afraid. People on the right, who are often the rural poor, are predominantly white, say if there was just enough police boots on the ground, boo, the fear of those boots would be so strong, crime would simply go away. They blame soft on crime liberal governments in cities where crime has increased. Somewhat, this is not a return to the days of crack that wrecked our urban landscape. With 6 people a day killed in New York City in 1990, in fact, crime is lessening in New York. The largest, most democratic city around, even if people are still feeling fear. No, that's not crime lessening. That is prosecutors not prosecuting crime because it'll give them a bad progressive image. Most big cities have democratic governments, but here the right has conflated correlation with causation. Okay, well, you show me where there's a massive increase in crime and try that in a small town, and I'll start to hear you out. I live in DC where carjacking has become a serious problem. There was an effort by the city council to actually lower the penalty for this scary, scary crime. It was stupid. Bowser was against it, and the council overrode her. Congress stepped in. Well, yeah, that's right, but your city policies of overtaxing people to the point of losing everything that they have, giving people away and driving their jobs away so they have to steal to eat, also plays into this. Let's take a case that may seem absurd. Why don't I join the wave of carjackers? I could use some extra cash and maybe a nicer ride because you don't have the stones or the intelligence to jack a car, I'm guessing. The right would argue the light sentences offer nothing but encouragement. But I just don't want to. Let's say my sense of value is amputated. There's the fact that I could get hurt by picking the wrong person to fool with. I could get run over, a constant threat with my newfound pretend occupation. And of course, I don't want to go to jail. Well, that's because you want to go back and jack a car from somebody where the driver's still in it, because you're a moron. If you want to jack a car, learn how to hotwire. Probably shouldn't say that on YouTube. This is not official advice, by the way. And of course, I don't want to go to jail. The thing is, there's no specific length in time in prison that would deter me more than another. I can't imagine I would last a long weekend. I have a family and a job. I have responsibilities. I have an income and a place in society. I already have a car. Yeah, but so do most of these other people that are jacking the cars. You moron. I don't know. I can tell you right now, I don't like going into cities just based on the fact of this. Alright, couple more things that I hate. Lucy Letby, British nurse found guilty of murdering 7 newborn babies. From Michael Holden. We don't have to go over this for very long. Also, it kind of sounds like Brew is getting anxious to get on air here, so we got to start wrapping it up. I can see that over in my Instagram feed. A British nurse who described herself as a horrible, evil person was found guilty on Friday of murdering 7 newborns and trying to kill another 6 in the neonatal unit of a hospital in northwest England where she worked. Lucy Letby was convicted of killing 5 baby boys and 2 baby girls at the Countess of Chester Hospital and attacking other newborns, often while working night shifts in 2015 and 2016. To the wood chipper with that one! The verdict, following a harrowing 10-month trial at Manchester Crown Court, makes Letby Britain's most prolific serial child killer in modern history, local media said. She was found not guilty of 2 attempted murders, while the jury, who spent 110 hours deliberating, were unable to agree on 6 other suspected attacks. We are heartbroken, devastated, angry, and feel numb. We may never truly know why this happened, the families of Letby's victims said in a statement. Straight to the wood chipper. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. This is somebody who should not be allowed back into society. And the last thing that I hate, not because this is necessarily a bad thing, although it is, but just because, like, major crush growing up, and now that I know that this existed, and I never knew that before, I kind of want to see the photo shoot. Melissa Joan Hart explains it all, how a Maxim photo shoot got her booted from Sabrina, from Virginia Kruta. Okay, I want to see this now. I really do. Actress and former heartthrob of your host, J. Edgar, Melissa Joan Hart made a surprising revelation during a recent podcast appearance, recalling a short-lived romance with another actor and the day she got dropped from Sabrina over a Maxim shoot. Hart joined Boy Meets World alumni Danielle Fishel, Ryder Strong, and Will Friedle, which I might go look this one up, because I really, really enjoy Melissa Joan Hart and her work. Plus, she was hot. On Monday's episode of Pod Meets World, and she and Friedle recounted a very short relationship when they were both young and teens. Friedle, who played the oldest brother Eric on the popular ABC sitcom, brought it up around the 1730 mark, saying, I was with you for like your 14th birthday or 15th. I remember we went to some place where it had those big tanks you could drive or shoot the tennis balls at. Oh my gosh, the Clarissa Explains It All star proclaimed, probably the only time I ever had fun in Orlando. I never really got to do anything. Later in the show, Hart described one of her worst days, part of which was forever captured in a photo of her and pop singer Britney Spears at the premiere of her 1999 film Drive Me Crazy. In the photo, Hart said it was obvious she'd been crying all evening and decided to break up with her boyfriend. When she arrived at the party, her lawyer informed her she'd been dropped from Sabrina because of a photo shoot she'd done with Maxim. My lawyer goes up and says, you did a photo shoot for Maxim magazine? I'm like, yes, I did. They're like, well, you're being sued and fired from your show, so don't talk to the press. Don't do anything, she recalled. As it turned out, the photos were not the problem. Rather, Archie Comics took issue with a blurb teasing her appearance in the magazine, Sabrina, your favorite witch without a stitch. but because she didn't actually appear nude in the photos and had been promoting her movie rather than her television show, not to mention the fact that she had no control over what Maxim chose to print on the cover. After a few weeks, she was eventually able to iron out the situation and return to her role. And again, now that I know this exists, and I never knew this existed before, I kind of want to see it. All right, that's our show tonight, folks. We're done. We're out of here. Good show, but again, looks like Brew was itching to get on the air, so we gotta finish this out here. So let's finish up. Let's get the outro music up and let's go. All right, so with that, we're done. We're out of here. Thanks everybody who came by and chatted in the live chat. We'll be back here tomorrow with more news, more headlines. We'll probably have more arrest news at this point. We might have a mugshot. I'm definitely going to look at that between shows here, but I gotta pee, so that's gonna be up here. But stick around and go check out Hello Brutiful over on Twitch if you want to see what we're gonna be talking about tonight. It'll be a great time. We do this, and we're going to be doing this every Thursday night now, it looks like, which that's going to be one of the things that's going to be coming up while I take a step away from contemporary. But come back and join me here tomorrow for more news, more headlines, and more contemporary. Take care. Have a good night. We will see you next time for that. And until then, I am Jay Edgar, and this is Contemporary. Take care.